Hi everyone, welcome to our first maths lesson. This week we're going to be learning about length and height. Can you think of a time where you or anyone else that you know has had to measure anything? Why did they have to measure it and what did they use? So why would we have to measure things? Why do you think we need to do that? Have a little think. So we can measure lots of different things for lots of different reasons. For example, you can measure your feet to make sure that your shoes fit properly. You can weigh your luggage before you go on a flight. You can measure your height. We weigh our dog Bonnie to make sure that she's healthy. We can measure ingredients in a cake to make sure that it comes out really nice and tasty. We could measure a chair to make sure that it fits into our living room. Or we could measure a picture to make sure that it fits into a space in a wall. We can use different words to describe height. So this candle is the tallest. This candle here is taller than this candle, but it is shorter than this candle. And this candle here is the shortest. My husband is the tallest. I am shorter than my husband, but I am taller than Bonnie. Bonnie is the shortest. Goofy is the tallest. Pluto is taller than Mickey, but shorter than Goofy. Mickey is the shortest. We can also use different words to describe the length of things. This snake is the longest. This snake is the shortest. This snake is longer than the shortest snake, but shorter than the longest snake. This hair is the longest. This hair is the shortest. The hair in the middle is longer than the shortest hair, but shorter than the longest hair. We can use different body parts to help us measure things around our house, like our hands and our feet. Let's go around the house and see what we can measure. So when you are measuring something with your hands or your feet, you need to make sure that the bottom of your hand or foot is in line with whatever you are measuring to make sure that you are getting a good measurement on it. This photo of my uncle and me measures the same as one of my hands. If I didn't line my hands up with the bottom of whatever I was measuring, I could get the wrong measurement for it. So if I started down here and started measuring, I could think that my uncle's photo is 2 hand measurements instead of the one that it is. Let's measure this picture frame. I've lined my hand up next to it, and this picture frame measures the same as one of my hands. Let's measure Bonnie's mat. So I'm going to measure it with my feet, and I'm going to make sure that the back of my foot lines up nicely with the edge of the mat. I'll put my foot down, and then I'll bring my other foot here and make sure that the back of my foot is touching the front of my other foot. Then I'll bring my other foot up and make sure that the back of it is touching the front of my other foot. So Bonnie's mat measures the same as 3 of my feet. You would do exactly the same if you were measuring with your hands. So you would make sure that one of your hands lined up with the bottom of whatever you were measuring. Then you would put your other hand on top, fitting it in snugly. And you would continue to do this, making sure that they touch each other. And also remembering to count how many hands that you're using. Sometimes measuring with your hands and feet can be a bit tricky, but I've found a little tip to help. So, if you get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, or whatever you want to use to draw around your hand, you can draw around your hand or your foot, making sure that your pen stays very, very close to your hand or your foot. You can draw around it and then cut out a few templates of your hands to use if, say, you are measuring a door. Let's measure this space. I have my trusty cutout hands here that I'll be using. So I'm going to lie them down on the floor and make sure to line this hand up here, and then I'm going to make sure that this hand touches the other one. So that's 1, 2 hands, 3 hands, 4 hands, 5 hands, 6 hands, and 7 hands. So boys and girls, this space measures the same as 7 of my hands. Let's measure the radiator. My trusty hands again, lining it up nicely. So we've got 1, 2, 3, always making sure that they're touching, 4. So the radiator measures the same as 4 and a bit of my hands. I would like you to think if your hands and feet are the same size as anybody else that you know. So I know that my hands are a lot smaller than my husband's hands. So if I was measuring a door, I might take 20 hands to measure that door, whereas my husband might take 15. Your hands are smaller than mine. So when I took one hand to measure my uncle's picture frame, you might take 2. Also, have a little think about the size of your hand compared to the size of your foot. Is it the same size? Can you put them together and check? For today's task, I would like you to go around your house and find different things to measure. So that could be a door, it could be your television, anything that you want. And I would like you to use your hand to measure it, and then I would like you to use your foot to measure it. Now I want you to think about, is there any differences between your hands and feet when you're using them to measure? Within our general page under the files section, I will be uploading this worksheet for you to do. Now you can either print it out or make one yourself if you want, if that is easier, and upload a photo. So I'm looking for you to measure things around your house using your hands and feet. Record how many of your hands and your feet something measures in the table below. And then I have some questions for you to think about. So what was the smallest thing that you measured? What was the longest thing that you measured? And is there a difference between your hands and your feet when you're measuring? Good luck, everyone! If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to get in contact with me via Teams in the chat function, or you can leave me a message on my page. Thank you, have fun, happy measuring!